Well, another big question I know that we get a lot is how do you rebuild culture after a major disruption, like layoffs, leadership change, market changes like COVID or tariffs?
Yeah. Well, one thing that's certain in life is uncertainty. We cannot
Yes.
control the environment, cannot control circumstances, right? So there's always going to be change. So should always be ready for change. And one way to be ready, of course, is to have a great set of core values and a great core purpose. Now, we talk a lot about
Right.
values. Values are as important in bad times as they are in good. I know a company that very effectively used core values to actually shut down the company, and they had employees working
Wow.
right to the last day till they shut it down, and they used the core values in times like that. But after a disruption, one great way to re-energize and bring people back, often it might be a smaller group now and some of their friends are not there anymore, is to focus on purpose, the why. Get back
Right.
to the why we do what we do. That's something that I would definitely recommend in times of disruption.
Yeah, we've also advised to not be afraid to be transparent about it, I think as well, right? Like if you had to lay off a big leadership team member, talking about that and sharing a story around those core values and around the behaviors that were maybe not lived by or broken and just again then rally people around that core purpose. So what about more of an external issue as well? Like in COVID, what did you see some clients do in those times?
They leaned in to the situation. And of course, they used the core values to make the employees feel like this would pass, feel belonging, feel that the organization cares for them and that this is the right place for them to be. That's super important. And then adapting to the circumstances. So whatever those might be. And yes, COVID was one set. I think we're probably through that now. But there's always some good things too that come from dramatic change like that. Look how many companies learned to work remote, work flexible, and so there's always some good things to come too from big change. I think there are tariffs that are happening right now. Companies have learned to adapt to that in creative ways as well. So there's always a way to turn negatives into a positive.
So a major tool, right, is definitely storytelling and anchoring it in the values.
People often ask, how do you announce that somebody's no longer with the business? You let them go on a Friday, you unhire them, as we say. Don't use the word fire, very bad for culture.
Yes.
It spreads fear throughout the organization. Everybody thinking, oh my God, who's going to be fired next? No, it's an unhiring, an uncoupling. And a great way to announce that is to lean on the core values. As you know, this individual did not align with our values in a lot of ways, and kind of say it in a way that you're inviting agreement from everybody around it.
Mhm.
And of course, if you are doing great 360-degree feedback and measuring people on their values, people get used to it. And it's a scoring. So telling the story connected to values. So and so's not with us anymore, and here's why. As you know, it didn't align with our values. Yeah, and I heard that recent story right out of Africa, a client in Africa just this week.
Well, that is how you rebuild culture after major disruptions or change.